You're listening to Green Rapids.
There you go.
There we are. Back again. Yeah, we're excited to have you guys back. It's official. We are here. We are in it. Episode 2, season 2.
Mm-hmm.
What's it about, Nancy?
Today we're going to learn about the history of Earth Day.
Dun, 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 dun.
Since we're just a few days from Earth Day being out, by the time this is scheduled to be live for all your beautiful ears, it will also be my best friend's birthday. Happy birthday, Marcos.
You're so cute. Wait a second. When is his birthday?
March 27th.
Oh, it is on his birthday. Mm-hmm. Okay. This is for you, Marcos.
You're welcome.
But it is also for Earth Day.
It's also for everybody else.
And it's really Earth Month, right? Mm-hmm. So Earth Day isn't until like the 22nd of April, but we are talking about it for the month.
I mean, we're starting to talk about Earth Day in January.
Yes.
So we live Earth Day.
We're kind of obsessed with her.
We love her.
When did she start, Nance?
So... So Earth Day was actually started in April of 1970, which is a really long time ago. But the reason why is because back then there wasn't any talk about climate or in the environment. This is before climate justice, right?
Right.
They just talk about the environment and the climate in general.
Well, people weren't like really breaching a whole lot of justice then too. Like it was really shaky time in our country, right? Like we're like leaving the 60s, entering the 70s. So like justice is still a hot topic.
It's in the air.
Right?
Yeah, like it's definitely in conversation, but definitely not through the lens of what we're living in.
Or everyday
right?
people. Okay, so the climate comes into the conversation.
So climate comes into the conversation. Back then, there was no Environmental Protection Agency. There was no Clean Air Act. There was no Clean Water Act. Oh. There was zero legal or regulatory mechanisms to protect our environment.
Y'all were wildin'.
This is the 70s, dude.
Just out here.
This is like, I was going to say 30 years ago, but it's like what, like 50 years ago?
Seatbelts like just came into play.
Something like that, right? And like, people were putting leaded gasoline into their cars, if you can believe it.
Of course.
You know, now you take the unleaded for granted. Like, God. Anyway, but in the spring of 1970, there was the lucky.
It's so good. Picture this.
We're going to do it again. In the spring of 1970, Senator Gaylord Nelson, who was a conservationist-minded senator, he was like, I'm really seeing a lot of issues with like all these factories spewing out black clouds of toxic smoke. I'm seeing all this manufacturing dumping tons of toxic waste into streams. And all that was legal. People could legally not stop you from polluting the air, the water, the soil. Like, people were just chilling.
There was just no regulation on like what was
Zero.
okay and what wasn't okay.
Can you imagine?
The reason why we have like lead paint in our houses, right?
Yeah.
Like people just like didn't know how to regulate it.
Yeah.
So they didn't.
Until it was too late. And now here we are.
Anyway,
so he was like, he started to really just like worry about the environment and was like, I'm really going to try to put this issue into the national agenda.
Okay.
So through a lot of his work and his outreach, he specifically chose April 22nd because it was in between spring break and finals. And his goal was to he started off his outreach in a way that like, a lot of people do with like reaching to college campuses, right? Because, the people, the future, the young.
Yes.
So he chose that day. It was strategic because of college campus schedules. And then also but he was able to mobilize a lot of people. He actually mobilized like 20 million Americans.
What?
Like across the country, which is wild. So in December of 1970, Congress authorized the creation of a whole new agency specifically for tackling environmental things, which we now know as the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency.
The EPA, yeah. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Someone was like, we should probably not just be able to do whatever we want.
They're probably like, but what about drinking water? Yeah. I'm glad. Thanks, Senator Gaylord Nelson, for actually thinking about that.
Yeah, I don't know what else you supported, but I support that. That's for sure. So since then, we've been finding ways to advocate for the climate, right? Obviously, our jobs probably wouldn't exist without somebody creating an Earth Day.
Yeah.
Advocacy for the environment has been a really huge piece in, I think, getting me to this point, right? Like if people didn't tell us about Earth Day, if we didn't have these like moments to recognize or protection agencies to regulate people, we would probably be still living in like that same like willy-nilly kind of world. So that's super cool. I love that.
Yeah, I'm very proud. And I think actually what catalyzed Senator Gaylord Nelson is that in January of 1969, he, along with obviously like thousands of other people, witnessed all the massive oil spills that were happening around Santa Barbara in California.
Yeah.
And like I really like that radicalized him, right? Because I feel like a lot of people are just really quick to feel like, oh, well, we'll just clean it up and it's fine, or like, oh, it's killing all the fish, but whatever, putting the fish in the sea, you know. But he really took all that seriously, and there at around that time, like you said, we were coming out of the 60s and 70s, so there was like a lot of like anti-war movements and things like that.
Yeah.
Tangent. I actually just spoke with a gentleman named Fred Miller from the Sierra Club, and he was in those anti-war protests and stuff. I know. I was like, well, you really just lived through all that, huh?
Such a good reminder too that like
it is
recent. Not, yeah, it's history, but like
lifetime away.
How far into history are we talking? This is like your grandparents' history, right? Like that's not really history. That's just their story.
It's still within like their lifespan. Yeah, like this is all like fairly recent shizzle. Anyway, so he was so he was inspired by the anti-war movements and just like the energy that had and the impact that had. So he was like, well, I want to infuse this consciousness with just like the ability to recognize like the air and water pollution is like a big issue, right? Like for our future and stuff too. So he and another gentleman named Pete McCloskey, who was a Republican, served as his co-chair. Imagine that.
I'm imagining.
I'm imagining. Real hard. So, like I said, they chose April 22 because of the scheduling and stuff. And yeah, they were actually able to like have like a massive turnout. People had signs. People showed up at the Capitol. At the time, like 20 million Americans was 10% of the population.
Oh, wow.
Imagine being able to mobilize 10% of the population of the country.
The whole population of the country. That's amazing.
It's wild. And like what was really great is that before this time, there were small pockets of activists, right? Like it wasn't like he like invented caring for the planet. But there was groups that were fighting like for like these very kind of like niche little things. Like for example, there was groups that were fighting against like oil spills. There was other groups being like, oh, like these factories are polluting. There was these other groups that were like, these nuclear power plants aren't doing their storage properly.
Yeah.
Like, oh, hey, like I've noticed that my neighborhood doesn't have this anymore because these pesticides are like murdering the biodiversity, right?
Yep.
But these were all just very like separate, just kind of like scattered.
It almost allowed for them to be like, that's your individual experience. Like you can't really like, it was hard for people to
there was no like
validate that. Yes. Okay.
So with this Earth Day thing, it actually allowed for like this political alignment for people from all walks of life, like all classes, all races, like different political spectrums to really join together under this umbrella of like caring for the planet, which is really amazing. Yeah.
I love Nancy. What a beautiful little story you just told us.
You're welcome.
Nancy with the facts.
I got you.
That's why we love you. And then I'm just like slight bit of commentary like, wow, that's interesting.
I mean, sometimes I do the same to you.
It is so interesting though.
I was like, what do you mean, Erica?
Well, and every day it like comes back, or every day. Yes, we do this to each other every day. But no, every year it comes back around. And I feel like we don't really talk about like
how it started.
how it
kinda take it for
started.
granted.
Yeah. So last year for Earth Day, Nancy and I were a part of a rally, a march through Grand Rapids Climate Coalition. They'll be having another one this year, I believe toward the end of April.
Date TBD.
But there will be lots of events and things going on. So this year, we haven't solidified everything. Again, by the time you hear this won't be the truth anymore. But
And you
we're
will
doing,
know because we're going to be posting about it
right, like
crazy.
we'll have so many more details by the time you get this. But we're going to be taking weeks throughout the month to kind of talk about specific issues that we could address within the climate issue, I guess, the climate. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to being able to kind of help individualize those while also like tying other people's experiences to that. Like, is your issue preservation? You know, is it managing your waste? Is it transportation? Like, and all of those things can look so different. Like, do you walk? Do you drive? Do you take a bus? Do you bike? Your environmental impact, but also what you like how you're going to address it might look different.
Yeah. Or are you unknowingly or unwillingly investing in fossil fuel companies through your retirement savings account?
Are you? You know, it's really good to think about it that way too, Nancy. Like it's a lot more than maybe just going to get like a cup of coffee. Like, who owns that company and what do they invest in? So I think Earth Month is a really great time to just build on to that awareness. Like, you don't have to make it your entire existence, but like
pick up like a new habit.
Yes, pick up a new habit or drop one, you know, that you've been wanting to.
Ooh.
Like, change where you're going to shop for something, even if it's just for April. Like, it'll feel good. You'll probably build that into like your behavior.
Yeah.
And there will be plenty for you to do. Like I said, the march will be happening. We'll have weekly events. So there will be lots of ways for you to like stay engaged and educated if you have any of those needs.
Yeah. Or even if you just want to go out and have fun. We also want to make it really fun.
Oh, of course. Fun is like at the top of my list. If it's not fun, maybe I'll show up.
Yeah. But if it's fun, we'll be there.
The question is, Nancy, who does this benefit?
Everybody.
Are you sure?
I mean, maybe except for the 1%.
The 1%, you're right. But it really does. Like, when we think about, again, where we get our water from, 40 million people rely on the Great Lakes every single year. That's enough reason for us to preserve it, right? That's why the Clean Water Act exists, because of things like that.
Yeah.
So everybody is impacted by it, even if you don't fully resonate with that. Like, it is all of us.
Yeah, there's going to be definitely a facet that will affect you, so might as well try to make a difference.
Who does it impact if we don't do it?
Again, everybody except for the 1%.
Everybody
But
except for the 1%.
Especially frontline communities.
Especially frontline communities. And the reality is living in Grand Rapids, a frontline community could be at the end of your block. There are just roads dividing us
Cross the
from
bridge,
cross
the highway,
cross a bridge, cross a highway, cross Wealthy Street, and you will find air quality is a lot different. You will find maybe the income disparities are very real. So
on this side of the 131.
Yeah. So even, while you're doing your Earth Day moves, remember that you're impacting somebody outside of yourself. That's always something that like helps motivate me, is like, we were just talking about this, if my behavior is going to make somebody frustrated with me and I really want them around, at some point I'm going to have to adjust that, right? At some point, if I want to be in a peaceful environment, for lack of a better term, I need to give something to that in order for it to have peace. So it's just always a good reminder. Invest in communities. They invest back in us. Yeah.
That's what we try to do.
I see you have here an Earth Day website. Is that where you're reading all the stuff from?
I read some of those things from there.
So
I took notes.
If you want to know more about Earth Day and the history of, you can go to earthday.org, which is where Nancy's finding a lot of these facts.
Yeah. And they do have like a full dive. I'm kind of giving you guys a cliff notes. But in the spirit of Earth Day and talking about Earth Month, like I know that there's like we said before, this is in our previous episode, there's gonna be a very like pivotal year when it comes to a lot of like environmental protections. So we would like to remind you to vote, be involved in democracy, local and state and federal, because all those effects, all these policies kind of like trickle down, right? Like the Line 5 thing could be a predecessor for something like bigger. But if we block the Line 5, then maybe like we also make it harder for future fossil fuel projects to come into Michigan, right?
Yeah.
So just really consider like what you can kind of get behind this Earth Month. And like in the spirit of Earth Day, like I said before at the top, the first Earth Day really caused a lot of like, it had like a domino effect on like a lot of legislation and stuff, right? Like I mentioned the EPA, I mentioned the Clean Water Act, Clean Air Act. But within 10 years, they also passed like way more policy too. So there was also, so like by 1980, they had already passed a lot of other environmental legislation such as the Endangered Species Act, Marine Mammal Protection Act, the Toxic Substances Control Act, Resource Conservation and Recovery Act, and the banning of DDT, which kills creatures like all through the food chain, and banning gasoline, and like, so like there it was like I said, like a domino effect, right? So just think about what can be your little push on a domino that can have a cascade effect of positivity and life for the planet.
That was very visually pleasing.
Thanks.
I imagine this like domino that turns into mountains, and there's like an elk running through.
Yeah, just like rivers and trees sprouting
Rivers,
out, like,
trees, so many birds.
Yeah.
No, but it is so true. Like the smallest move, like people see that, people react to it. So such a solid reminder, and such a solid reminder to make sure that we're aware of, you know, who we're electing as a form of caring for the climate. On the idea of GRCC leading this march, the Grand Rapids Climate Coalition, they will also likely be coming, I believe they're doing it again this year, coming out with candidate statements, you know, and they are nonpartisan. So really they're just asking the same set of climate questions to some, you know, local representatives who are interested in gaining positions of power, or who are already do.
Yeah.
And really just to review where they're at with the climate issue. And so if you're interested in keeping up on people's responses, you know, through the year, probably starting sometime in April and moving forward, keep up with Grand Rapids Climate Coalition. We will share some of those answers once people, they start to roll in. But, you know, it's just, to Nancy's point, voting is such a great way to make sure that further down the line, decisions are being made in your favor, even when you're not out here, like on Earth Day at a rally, you know, like that's the start of it. But in the end of the day,
and it's also like a privilege to be able to be like at an Earth Day rally, right?
Totally.
Like not everybody has like people have social anxiety or maybe trauma that doesn't allow them to be in those kinds of spaces. But people are also not everybody's like physically like able to be there, right?
Yeah.
So if you are a fellow activist who has issues with like attending a lot of these more like I don't want to say like physical events, but
in-person events, maybe like socially taxing,
potentially rowdy,
hopefully rowdy. No, but if you have a hard time,
digital advocacy is a totally valid way to go. Like emails, texting,
put it on your story,
calling, do a social media blast, like literally like all that stuff is totally valid and actually a really useful way to like put people on the spot, you know, like especially representatives that we're trying to hold accountable for certain things.
Nancy, that is such a good point, because when I think about like, okay, we share something in Green Rapids, but that reaches so many more people if the people share our stuff from there. Or like we have a few hundred followers. What if you have 1,000 followers, and maybe they're all of your friends from when you were in school, but still they're going to see it, right? And so you have a network of people we could never reach. Yeah. So if you feel like your bit that you can give is to share something, that does so much more than you may think it is. So love that point. Definitely make sure you share. Another way, and this is our call to action for the month,
Let's hear
right?
it.
So support a mom and pop shop. So mom and pop is literally, it just means any local business. So a local smaller business in the area.
It could also be a mom and mom or a pop and pop shop.
It could be a mom and mom. It could be a pop and pop. It could be a neither one of those.
could be
But it is just a local
Parent
business.
and parent shop.
It could be.
It could be a childless adult shop.
A childless adult shop. It could be a single person on their grind
With 5
shit
cats.
shop with 5 cats, and it's still, we're gonna put it under
valid.
mom and pop. But it's Mom and Pop Business Owners Day is officially March 29th. So on that day, in the month of, just make sure that you go out and support a local business. Some more sustainable mom and pop type shops in Grand Rapids. Our favorites would be like Earthly Refillery.
Tell me about it.
So Earthly Refillery is a refillery, which means a place to refill your things. So as an example, every time you go buy a shampoo bottle, every single time you go
Plastic.
buy soap,
Plastic.
every single time you go buy laundry detergent,
Plastic.
every single time you go buy a tube of toothpaste, right?
Plastic.
That's all plastic. Most of it usually is. And even if it isn't, it typically is a single-use item, and you will likely dispose of that. So the Earthly Refillery would be a place where you can bring your own containers. They also have containers there for you to purchase or take home, and you can just fill up anything you need from the store.
Pay by the weight.
Pay
Call
by
it
the
good.
weight and you're good. Bring your own bag because duh. And yeah, if not, they use paper bags, right? So
Yeah.
they are living the sustainable life. They also have, they're in a larger space now.
Eco-friendly versions of a lot of products that we usually have in plastic, like
Oh,
scrubbies,
totally.
Brushes, like
Pet
a lot
to-
of like self-care
Pet
items.
toys.
Pet toys.
Oof.
Like literally just please go there. Like it's, I love it there.
Yeah, but essentially it's like your day-to-day house items that are typically very unsustainable. It's just a different way of thinking about it. It could give you a lot of really great ideas. So Earthly Refillery is one.
I also want to add that they're usually known as like a zero waste shop, and that most of what they have is plastic free and or biodegradable. So we really try to just like avoid the just things that will end up in a landfill forever and ever, right?
Yep. Even in your products, there are things you wouldn't really understand, like, oh, that oil doesn't really go anywhere.
Yeah. Oh, and they do have spices and stuff too. So
Yes.
even like culinary things, find them there. I need to go there to refill my turmeric because my little spice jar is all out. So I'll see you soon.
She'll see you soon. Last Mile Cafe is a cafe. It's a coffee shop. And they have sustainably sourced coffee. And they also have been very generous when it comes to the Climate Cafe, which is just a group of people who come and talk about the hardships of climate activism. It's really
It
great.
doesn't even have to be for activists, right? Like
Yeah,
if you're just
right.
like a person just living your life, working your job,
And you
taking
care
care of your
about the
shizzle,
issues.
and you just feel like gloom or hopelessness or just anything, even joy and hope, we like that too,
Yes.
about the future or about the climate, like the Climate Cafe is just a safe place for you to be able to just chat and talk and be with like-minded folks.
Yeah, express yourself authentically. Sometimes
'Cause
you don't have the
therapy's
opportunity
expensive.
to. Yeah. Also, the Southeast Market, which is in the southeast side, and they just moved to a new location right next door to Last Mile Cafe.
So
Not 100% if
you get
they're
a twofer.
open presently. I know they were working on it last time.
They might be by the time you hear this.
Yeah. But they are a local market that uses local farms, connects people and, the businesses in Grand Rapids selling their products and bringing food to a place in Grand Rapids that doesn't always have great access to it.
Food desert.
Yeah, it's very real, guys. Della Soul Records is a record shop that is in the old Southeast Market building. And
you guys can easily find these on Google Maps. So.
these are super easy to find. But these are, and on the southeast side, in the Kalamazoo area.
Burton.
Exactly. And Della Soul is Black woman in the community. She has a passion for music. She is a DJ. She's bomb. I met her during Freedom Schools. She was one of the
What?
leaders.
I
She was
didn't
like,
know
yeah,
that.
she was one of the main leaders.
Okay.
So she's an awesome person. And that I would consider that absolutely like a local mom and pop shop. Like she's about to. You're about to leave these places feeling good too.
Yeah.
It's not just about supporting local. And the last one we have on our list is Wusa. It is a queer-owned print shop, but they also have lots of sustainable products there. So they have all of their stuff, I think, is made sustainably.
Yeah, and I
if
think
I'm
it's
not
all like
mistaken.
locally made too.
A lot of it is locally sourced, and they're like for the opposite 1%, 1% for the planet.
Yeah, the good 1%.
Yes, the good 1%.
Guelaguetza Designs in Wyoming. So Guelaguetza
Please go
Designs has artisan crafted goods by like Mexican artisans. So a lot of what they have is either made from like natural materials like clay and leather and things like that. But it's also just like a nice little like gift shop. So anything that you're looking for your home, like mugs, or you need like a new purse or something like that, it's a cute little shop to hit up.
My recommendation, if you go there, is to maybe bring your spending amount in cash, because this place is so cool. I literally wanted
I
to
have
buy
to hold myself back.
every single thing. It is like, it's colorful, it's eccentric, it's beautiful, it's authentic. Like you feel it, and it is really beautiful in there. You will probably want to buy everything. So if you're like me, cut yourself off. Otherwise, live your best life.
Live your best life.
Drop a whole paycheck.
You do you.
You're fine. It's April.
Well, we don't know your situation.
You're fine. No, but I love that you just added that. So happy
I thought of another
Earth
one.
Month. Oh my goodness, Nancy, pop off.
All right, so Maggie Ann Soap.
Okay.
So she does a lot of like lotions, kind of like a lot of like self-care stuff, like shampoo bars, conditioner bars, masks, scrubs, lip balms, like you name it. She does it, obviously, and soaps too, obviously. 'Cause
Yes.
Maggie Ann Soaps. Or is this soap with a single S? I don't know. You guys can Google it. But like her tubes, even like her lip balm tubes come in like cardboard tubes.
Yes.
Pretty much all of her products come either like in like a zero waste version. So like glass jars with like metal lids. I think the only thing that's plastic usually is like the pumps for like, for example, like her lotion that has like a little pump top.
Yeah.
But like a lot of it is like glass bottles, and she really does make an effort to make things sustainable and eco-friendly and not yucky plastic trash.
Yay,
So,
Maggie.
thanks, Maggie.
We love you for that.
You're so cool.
We need the people who are given options, right? I don't know how to make soap. Maggie does.
Maggie knows how to make soap.
Side note, conditioner bars work.
Yeah.
Nancy and I have plenty of hair, and we both use conditioner
I have
bars.
so much hair.
They work.
They work fine.
I was not convinced until I actually purchased one. So make the transition if you can.
And if you have to shop at a chain store, there's always Lush.
Oh, I forgot about Lush.
There's always Lush.
All right, Nancy approved. You can go to Lush for Earth Day.
Yeah.
Well,
I
don't
mean,
go on Earth Day. Maybe go like...
They give back. Don't go there on a mom and pop shopping day. Go there the rest of the year.
You can go to Lush in any day except for March 29th, 2024.
In which case, we want you to shop for a mom and pop.
That you have to.
Thanks.
But,
Okay, well, what are some shops that are maybe not sustainable, but they are mom and pop shops, and we want to support them because they're local to like Grand Rapids
So this is...
Wyoming.
We have a little tiny list, and a mom and pop shop that is not sustainable, but we do love, is Tamales Mary.
Oh yeah, we cater them for a lot of our events.
Unfortunately, they do use styrofoam, which is like the never recyclable item. But it is local. They are mom and pop, and you are better off doing that than like going to a Chipotle or,
One of those ones.
something else. I don't even know what they are.
Yeah. Also, because they are like a local shop and they are smaller scale, we can
Smaller-
always talk to them, right? And be like, hey, we
Yes.
love your stuff. We love your food. We love everything about you. But can you think of some alternative packaging that is not styrofoam?
A smaller carbon footprint as
Yeah.
well. They likely are ordering from somewhere that's a little bit more local, or it travels less distance. They might
Yeah.
order less than a large chain restaurant would. They're likely throwing away less.
I can't believe I almost forgot to mention my most favorite restaurant of all.
Oh my God. Let's hear it.
Okay, so my most favorite restaurant of all is one called El Toro Bravo, which means the angry or brave bull. It's over on 44th and Clyde Park, and they have the most amazing gorditas. And if you've never had a gordita, it's basically a stuffed tortilla, and it's good.
Listen to Nancy.
It's good. Just please go there.
She knows her stuff.
Again, if you eat in, it's very low waste. Just skip the straw. But if you eat out or get takeout from there, again, there is a styrofoam issue. So if you go there, try to dine in, bring your own straw, or just drink from the cup. We're adults.
Yeah, no, we can definitely handle that.
We can handle that.
Here's one, and we have a list of ones. We're not 100%. I don't think these are mom and pop, but I do think that they're really great restaurants in the area
that are sustainable.
So
not on March 29, but like every other day of the year.
Every other day. You know? And you can fact check me on this because I didn't know where to find this. Field and Fire. One time, Nancy and I went to Field and Fire, and
we were like, compostable
blown
packaging.
away. And it doesn't take much for us.
Paper bags.
But they nailed it. We were really excited leaving there. The meal was great.
Yeah,
and it is all local.
Well,
right?
And also like almost all their ingredients are locally sourced.
Yes,
so we
that
love
was
that.
the big part. Is that they're getting from like honey from a local farm, and their egg and their meat. They're all coming from places
Michigan.
like that they can name. So I love that. Hopcat also did the sustainable thing with packaging.
They have compostable, and they even say in their menu, they're like, hey, just so you know, like we compost like our food waste. We love that. We love that. We want to see more of that. All you other restaurants that I eat at, please learn from Hopcat, learn from Field and Fire.
Yes.
Get on your shizzle.
Well, and also that's low-hanging fruit, but like you impressed us with that low-hanging fruit. So like hang it. hang it out there. Tell us that you're composting. We will literally talk about you on a podcast. And then the last one, I just went there yesterday with our lovely Marshall Kilgore. And I'm sorry. I told him every time you guys hang out, I get jealous.
No, I'm jealous.
I know. That's why I'm like, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to do this. Greenwell.
The fact that I'm learning this now.
Here, we're moving on. All
right.
I'm just kidding. Marsh and I had a lovely meeting yesterday, and we went to Greenwell. In Greenwell, they are kind of like a by season. They change their menu a lot, and they also are very mindful about where they're going to get like their meats and their greens and everything. So they're a little bit more on the sustainable side, and I just want to recognize them for that.
Yeah, I think they even call themselves like locavores, right? Because they have such a focus on the locality.
Yes, and all three of those places are local. Like Hopcat, I believe, is just Michigan wide. At Field and Fire, there's a couple of them in Grand Rapids, but incredibly local. Greenwell is local. I can't say for sure that they're mom and pop, but I can say for sure that would be a great place to support.
Or not corporate they are, but we like what they're doing. But also let's recognize the real shizzle. That maybe that because they are slightly more corporate than a fully mom and pop shop, they can afford to do a lot of these extra things for the environment.
Yes,
right?
and I was also going to say these are not necessarily the most affordable options. But if you're looking to treat yourself, if you shop with your dollars
treat
in
yourself
that way,
responsibly.
Yes, treat yourself responsibly. So, these are just ways for you to kind of get connected. Give yourself a little credit. Like maybe you spend a little extra money at Field and Fire or at Earthly Refillery, but like maybe the environment loved you for that.
But then you save money on gas because you took the bus there.
That part. Nancy just validated. That's girl math.
That's girl math.
That's girl math right there. I just saved $20 by spending $80. Yep, we got it.
We'll figure it
out. Call to action took a half of our episode.
Like we get into this stuff,
but call to action really support somebody local. Make sure that they're as sustainable. Honestly, go up to the counter and remind them. I like paper bags. If you could maybe shift that, every little bit counts.
Every little bit counts.
Skip the straw.
Keep it up, kiddos.
And maybe what we can do throughout the month is share some more local places.
Ooh, story highlights.
Yeah, we'll do some story highlights. We'll give you some good ideas. I would always love it, guys, if you interact on our Instagram and share some stuff. So, like,
Please.
share some of your, like, favorite Earth Day things to
Talk
do.
to us.
Share your favorite sustainable shops in the area. Really share anything that you love about Earth Day, or maybe, like, a memory that you have. I love hearing from people. We love our listeners, and we are really excited to be back and rolling. So we will see you in Earth Month, middle of actions.
For more actions, with more actions.
And the best one you can take is to listen to Green Rapids podcast.
I would
look
put
you
that in
just
the top 5.
The look we just got from Nancy, guys.
I would say the top thing you could do would probably be to like write to your elected officials and tell them to stop, supporting the fossil fuel industry. But you can also listen to us. It's fine.
You're onto something there.
It's fine. It's fine. All right. See you next time.
Peace.
Bye.